Yeah, we're starting up something. We're starting up something. Oh.
Hi there, everyone. My name is Nicole Moore with Level Up Loud Branding Company. Welcome to another Front Row Friday. We have an amazing guest with us today. We have Stephanie Pellish. She is the wonderful owner of TeaCup Entrepreneurs. Thank you so much for being here, Steph. We really appreciate it.
I'm very excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. It's only natural. I just want a quick story myself. This was the first networking group I ever tried. I could not say more good things about this group. It made me feel so comfortable and empowered and amazing. So just to start off the convo with that, that's my little story of the day. But so I'm super grateful for you coming on today.
Well, I'm excited to hear that, and I'm glad we're together and that we've
Yes.
made these connections.
Yeah, absolutely. I know. So we will dive right into it. I'm going to let you go ahead and give an introduction, if you will, about your company and tell us all the amazing things about Teacup.
Yeah, so I'm Steph, and one of the things I always knew I wanted to own a business. I grew up, my dad owned a business with his family, and I just thought it was going to be something that I did. Not their business. I went to college and became a pediatric OT, loved working with kids,
Mhm.
loved working with the moms, the families that were supporting the kids, and always thought that I would have my own OT clinic. Life happened. Then I started having babies. And so part of that, life happens, it
Oh,
gets
yeah.
busy. And I was doing contracting. So I had like a small little side hustle of
Okay.
seeing clients privately. But in 2019, well, I guess I'll back up a minute. My husband and I then bought a business. We bought a gym. And it was a franchise, and we owned it with two business partners. And it was a huge learning lesson in what it really meant to own a business and
Yeah.
what it meant to have business partners. Loved every aspect of it. I loved talking about it. I
Mhm.
loved being there. I loved strategizing.
Yeah.
I love
Like
like
the
the
vibe of,
planning.
yes.
Yeah. And so a lot of things, but we just never quite made it all, we never quite got it all working together.
Yeah.
And so in 2019, we had closed that business at the beginning of the year, and I got pregnant with our fourth child a couple months later. And I knew I was burnt out of I was still doing pediatric OT. So I knew I was burnt out
Mhm.
of working with families, traveling, doing all the things. And so my plan was to have a baby in January, my fourth, because I'm going to have plenty of free time
Yeah, right?
and figure out what to do with my
Yeah.
life as one does. And, that was January of 2020. So she was 6 weeks old and we went into the pandemic.
Uh,
It gave me time to stop.
right.
I was
Like
chasing,
reset.
I was
Yeah.
figuring all the things out. And so where I thought I was going to like figure out my life, COVID was like, no, really, here's
Here.
the opportunity to do it.
Yes.
But I wanted to work with moms. I wanted to help the moms because I could see how much I needed more
Right.
help
Right.
in my parenting and being a better wife,
Hmm.
just feeling better.
Yeah.
And like I had zero clients. I was spending money and making no money. So, it was
Been
like,
there.
I have a
Yeah.
business, right?
Yeah.
And my husband's like, do you? And then I got a business coach, and it was a huge expense because I didn't have any
Yeah.
income or an actual business to get a business coach, but I also knew that I didn't know what I was doing.
Right.
Like I knew enough to know that
Yeah.
I didn't know enough.
Hmm.
And so with that, I went to a retreat. Part of this retreat included like every day we came around the table and we had different workshops and different activities and lots of masterminds and things at this week. And being around that table, I just recognized how I needed community
Yeah.
and how I really thrived in a space that was creative and supportive with other women around me. And so when I came home, I started meeting with other women that I had known from a previous group. Actually, we called
Hmm.
ourselves the Teacup Society. And so I was like, okay, Teacup ladies, like who
Yeah.
wants to come like hang out again? And a few of them did. And a few months later, there were seven. And then there were 15 women just hanging out. And I realized how much it was needed.
Yes.
I think for so many of us, it's safe to talk about the big dreams when we've already done it. But I wanted to really find a space and create a space where it was the norm to talk about these things.
Yes.
Like, hey, I believe in this. I believe in my mission. I believe in my value and what I have to give to the world.
Yep.
And how do I do it?
Yeah. And have
And
like-minded
who else
women.
is doing it?
Yeah,
Yeah. And so can we
exactly.
do it together? Can we build it together? And so that's where TeaCup Entrepreneurs came. And it's women who are coming together saying, hey, here are the realities, here are the struggles, but
Right.
also here are the wins. And let's
Yeah.
celebrate the wins together and let's encourage each other through the struggles
Yeah.
because there are a lot of struggles,
There are a lot. But it's
right?
nice to be in a room with women who understand that and you don't feel judged or put down for sharing those things because, because social media is such a thing and the connection somewhere along the lines, probably because of COVID, it got lost, that in-person connection. Um, so it's a struggle for a lot of people. So having a room like yours that we can walk into and feel excited and comfortable and then also leave feeling motivated and ready to take on the day and not feeling as alone in our businesses. I
Yeah.
mean, it's an incredible
Well,
thing.
I think it's, they say like, find your people, find your
Yeah.
community. And for me, I had friends because of our kids. Like we met because
Right.
of our kids, but they were also stay-at-home moms, or they wanted to go to a 9 to 5 or work 3 days a week and come home and be
Right.
with their kids. And while that was a season and a season I'm still like, I still very much am the parent that
Yeah.
goes to all the kids' things. My husband
Right.
also has flexibility, but I wanted a career. I wanted a place where I could show up for my family too.
Yes.
And so I needed a space where that conversation was also comfortable.
Hmm.
And I had done a few networking events that were much more, here's my business card. What have you already done? What are you doing? Who can I send your way? Who can you
Right.
send my way? More transactional,
Yes.
which definitely has a space,
Sure.
but I wasn't in a place where I was ready to have that transaction.
Right.
I needed more of the support.
Right.
And so I think that's really important about Teacup too, that those transactions are much more organic and they're
Yes.
much more relational versus transactional.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, the friendships and the connections built just from coming to Teacup. But it was more about the connection and like the women and just the conversations and which led, like you said, organically into um intertwining or collaborating on different projects with other companies. But it's really about the women, but like you always say at the meetings, the women behind the business, which I love because it's so true.
You're doing all of the things,
Oh
you're
yeah.
wearing all of the hats. And even as we start to hire, you're still learning how to
Yes.
delegate, how to teach. You've got to manage, you've got
Right.
to do all of the things. And some you get to delegate, but some you get to learn a new role in
Yes.
its
You're like, what other
place
hat can I pick
as
up
it
today?
expands. Yes.
So diving a little bit deeper, would you mind sharing, I'd say over the course of building Teacup, any business struggles that you've gone through or anything? How did you overcome them when you were faced with those times, those tough
So I
times?
did some business coaching, trying to figure out like
Yeah,
what it was going to be. But
right.
when I started Teacup, I said there will be no personal money. Like I think I opened my bank account with $500 because I needed
Yeah, do
something to,
something. Yeah.
but I started it with $500 and I said, if Teacup doesn't make it, I can't do it. And so everything I've done has been slower maybe than it could have been had I taken a bigger
Oh yeah,
loan
no.
and gone all in. But the other thing for me too is I've allowed Teacup to kind of shape itself. And
Yes.
every year I figure out another piece of it. And, we had a collaboration, which is like our mastermind program and our membership. And last year I stopped it. I was like, this isn't doing what I know it can do. And
Mhm.
that was a big part of my income. And so I paused it for a couple months. And then as I was getting ready to put it out again, I was like, there's not a whole lot of money coming in at the moment. And so I really had to look at, okay, like I had to trust that what I was bringing forward was more aligned for me and
Right.
therefore going to be better for the community. Learning how to trust myself, learning how to trust my intuition
Yes.
that, you know what, this thing isn't right. I think just trusting the timing, it's so hard.
It's so hard.
It's
Yes,
so hard to do.
it is. It is. And
But
taking that
it
time,
moves you. It really does move
it
you.
does.
And sometimes it's like, you know what, I have this idea. I want to put it out there and I'm going to figure out what it is as it goes. But
Right.
there's like that feeling of this is
Yep.
right. But also this like trusting that you don't have to force it. I am not like, you need this, you
Right.
should come here. Like, I am like, if you want to come back,
Right.
we'd
Like,
love to have you. But it
right.
means that the women who come are making a decision. They are amazing clients. They are
Yeah.
amazing women in the room because every month they can't wait to walk in the room because they've made a decision. They didn't feel pressured.
No,
They
it was a
didn't
choice. Yeah.
feel sold to. It's an invitation to come join us. And that's how I sell everything, which I think is also very different from what
Yes.
we're taught.
I mean, the sales
Yeah.
part is so hard, when you have a business because it's so obviously behind the scenes, it's necessary, to do them,
Absolutely.
but being intentional about it and letting people make those decisions, but being yourself and just showing them what you have to offer as this is what it is, and this is our mission, this is our goals, these are our goals, that I feel like it goes such a longer way because you're so much more relatable. It's easy to connect. It feels better,
And that's
So
what even I've had a couple of different business coaches that I've worked with, and some were much more like, do this thing. This is how it's done.
yeah,
Here's the exact plan. And then when it didn't work for me, I was like, well, now what?
right.
But again, like I've learned that it's not necessarily like the how, like those things are very supportive. And like
Mhm.
now I've been able to pull more of those things into my business. But
Sure.
a lot of it for me was like, why do I want this to work? Like,
Right.
what do I want out of this program? What do I want out of Teacup? Why do these women want to be here?
Right.
Now, what do I need to create for them? How do I make sure there's a system in place to make sure that all the
Oh, yeah,
pieces
of
move?
course. Uh,
But that's like the last step. Whereas in a lot of business coaching and
Yep.
marketing, that how piece is the first step.
And if people don't see who you are, first, when we walk into Teacup, like we know you, we know who you are, we know your story, and we know why we're all in the room. That's not
And
always the
that's
case.
where, like for me, one of the biggest things right now with my why is obviously to bring women together and to create a safe space. But the
Sure.
other thing too is to create a safe space for them to build their confidence.
Yes.
Because it is important to believe that what you're doing matters. That's when the business grows. And, I think, again, like putting yourself out there, but it doesn't have to be that you show up every single day on social media.
Right.
It can be that you're showing up in a newsletter. It can be that you're
Sure.
showing up at a networking event. It
Yep.
can be that you're showing up in the places that feel right, where
Yeah.
you feel connected, because
Yes.
you can meet somebody at your kid's baseball game and they could be your next
Yeah. You never know. I mean, you don't
best
ever know.
client,
Right.
right?
You never know.
And so I can decide how much I'm putting
Yep.
out and what I'm putting out. And even in my posts, like my posts have drastically changed in the last few years to a lot of my posts were proving. Like now it's like, hey, I've already like created this space or I'm creating this new space. And so you're welcome to come join it.
Yeah.
But that's such different energy.
So
And
different.
it's
Yeah.
such a shift, but it has come from experience and building my confidence and doing a lot of inner work.
Yeah.
Because if you're learning from me, if I'm inspiring you, if I'm making an impact on you, now you get to go make an impact for
On
somebody
someone
else.
else. Yes.
And that's really where I am focusing and growing this year on like, how do I create a bigger impact? How do I help the women around me create a bigger impact so
Yeah.
that those ripple effects are much greater?
And it's so much more rewarding when you look at it that way. Like for me and my other company, it's for Cheer Boss. It's a very saturated environment with the cheer community. So it's only a matter of time before there's other places or anything or other flyers that go out. And I used to get like, oh my gosh, like how am I going to rise above this? But now I'm just like, you know what? It is what it is. And they're on their journey. And I can either be supportive or just kind of turn it off or I always say, stay in my own lane. I feel like I see your shirt, minding my own. I can't see the whole thing, but there you go. Exactly. And that could not be more perfect of a shirt because that's kind of what you have to do. But it is a learning curve when you're just getting into the entrepreneur game because I mean, there's so
Well,
many
because
businesses.
we start with nothing. We
Right.
start in scarcity. They are
Yes.
starting from a passion. And so they aren't in a place where money is just flowing in and they believe that money can go to them, the next person, and the next person.
Right.
They are, I don't have any clients. How do I get my first one?
Right.
And so that's a real conversation of how do I get my first client? We're so afraid to like make those connections and really dive in because it's like, is there really enough?
There's so much. There's enough. Yeah. And it's
And the ones who are supposed to find you will,
yeah.
and the ones who are not are going to go to that other one. You
Yeah.
didn't want them anyway.
Right. It is what it is. Yeah, exactly. And life
But
goes on
trusting
and the
that,
business goes on. It's hard to see past that sometimes, that the business does
yes,
go on and things do
yes.
continue to get better. And it just because they may not have chosen you and they went somewhere, it's really not, it's not, I always say it's not the end of the world. It is what it is. Okay. So tell me, well, thank you for sharing all of that because I feel like people really need to hear that other entrepreneurs have gone through the struggles and overcome them because some that are sitting in those positions of like maybe they're in the struggles right now. They need to hear like this isn't your end game, right? Like this is
Yep.
just a season, like you said, and just keep moving because there's always a new day, there's always a new idea, a new thing. So to keep rolling with it. But so share with us what are some of your celebrations? What are some things that have been going on in the business over the course of we'll just say the last few years that you've really celebrated?
Like I said, Teacup started organically with me saying like, hey, come, me reaching out to friends. And then I was talking about it to other people and they started coming. And so Teacup has continually organically grown.
Yep.
It has been very interesting over the last few months. So with She Who Leads, that's like our big I do that once a year for Women's Day. It's like our big day event. And it allows me to bring the community together,
Sure.
not just women business owners, but also professionals who are
Yeah.
interested in learning about other women business owners and women-owned businesses in the
Mhm.
community, leaders, and talk about leadership, have more conversations, make more
Yes.
connections. With that, like I've had some interesting, like people now know locally when I go to networking events, they already know who I am and they've already heard of Teacup.
Yeah.
Like in my wildest dreams, I'm like, people just know what it is, but it still feels like
Oh, yeah.
in my wildest dreams. So
Yeah.
even a lot of people definitely feel like they know who I am
Oh,
because of
yeah.
how I share. One that I'm really just celebrating, like how I've stepped into a leadership role
Mhm.
last year was a big, like, I'll say probably, it was probably May of last year. I realized that I was still playing business, right? Like, if I want to have a business, I need to have women who are investing in their business,
Sure.
investing to work with me, and that when they pay me, I actually have an income and I'm not just like making ends meet.
Right.
And so I still
Right.
wasn't paying myself. It was
Yeah.
all going, I
Oh,
promised not
back
to
to the
take any
business.
personal
Yeah.
money, but
Right.
also it wasn't paying me either. And I was like, this
Right.
is not a business. This is still a
Yeah.
hobby.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's a great, I always love the statement lead by example. So if you're showing people how to become a leader and how to believe in themselves and how to put all the processes in place. I mean, if you're leading by example, then they're going to see it and that's how that ripple effect happens. And it's great to have a room for that. But that's an amazing celebration. It proves that the business is working, the business is growing, the business is doing what you want it to do, which is an amazing
Yeah.
feeling. Your vision and your mission and all of this is coming to life. And like you said, evolving and yeah, it's a pretty cool thing. I mean, it should be really proud of what you're doing because it's bringing a lot of people together that won't necessarily maybe be in the same room together. So it's a really cool thing. Okay, so diving right into it, what are some goals for you? Do you have anything big coming up this year or things you're focusing on that we would love to hear about?
Yeah, so this year, connection is about bringing the women together to have these conversations, collaboration. We've talked about like it's the woman behind the business, but
Hmm.
collaboration is really an opportunity for the woman behind the business to grow her
Yeah.
capacity. And one of the things that I've been really allowing to come through me, but also trying to like, okay, what is it? And
Yeah.
shape is like having some more programs that are more one off so that women can come in,
Right.
experience, and get like a program about leadership, can get a
Sure.
program about identity, figuring out
Yeah.
who they are, a program about how to make an impact in the world. And so this year, I actually put out something this morning, but I'm just putting out these new programs about, you know, doing more outside of the memberships,
Yeah.
getting new women, getting small groups to
Yeah.
just have more conversation about how do we do that inner work? How do
Yes.
we do this in a space while owning a business?
Right.
And what does that look like? And so these are more I'm going to try a couple different things, like
Yeah.
one or 2 day workshops. I'm also going to do some online programs. And so just see how I can really build that in. Yeah. So my goal is to just navigate and
Yeah.
play with different ideas and see what sticks, but
Yeah.
from a really intentional, okay, do people like this? Do they like that? Is it more leadership they're looking for? Is it more impact they're looking for?
Right.
And so that's really my goal for this year is
Well,
to
I love that. I mean, it's going to
expand.
open up more opportunity, like you said, for women to try things out and give them more chances to come visit the room and the space and just learn more about not only Teacup, but themselves as well, and if it's a good fit for them. So I love that. So
Thank you.
let's leave on this note. We're going to do the last little piece of our interview here. What advice would you give to a small business owner, either just starting out or someone that's been in the game for a little bit but feeling maybe a little bit stuck? And what advice would you give them to help them move forward?
Slow down. I mean, even
Yeah.
when you feel like you're going so slow, when there is that pressure, when there is that feeling of being stuck, the best thing to do, even though it feels completely counterintuitive, is to take a step backwards.
Yeah.
Go back, get a broader picture, ask for support, find a community that can help you take that step back and trust that this challenge is just a blip in the radar
Yeah.
because sometimes we need to be reminded. So slowing down so that you can be more intentional and you can get really clear on what it is and also keep moving.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I feel like those are contradictory, but like, really feel like that's so important is that slowing down, getting really clear on your why. Why do I want this to work?
Yes. I think that's great advice. And I mean, a lot of time people forget to slow down. Like you said, they just keep go. Like you said, it is the slow down, but also the keep going because you don't want to quit because like there is a new day, there's a new idea, but yeah, getting more intentional about what you're doing. I mean, I couldn't agree with that more. Been there, done that. Things didn't work out. I'm like, could I be embarrassed about this and dwell on it? Sure, absolutely. And I could be like, you know what, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. Or I pivot and I say, well, I liked this part about this. So how can I move this into something
Yeah.
different? And so let's find out where can people find you? How, let's share a little bit of your information. So everyone that's watching this, when they're so excited about this conversation and they want to come check out a teacup connection meeting, where can they find you?
Yes, so we're based out of Bluebell, Pennsylvania. That's where we do our in-person events, but we are on all the socials as TeaCup Entrepreneurs. But a majority of what I put out is under Stephanie Pellish. So it's Stephanie with a PH,
Mhm.
Anie, and Pellish with 2 L's. And I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, DM
Awesome.
me in any of those spaces, find us. They can reach out to you and find
Yeah.
out how to join us
Absolutely.
at one of the meetings. But I am
Yeah.
so grateful, and I love being a part of your journey because
Yes, I'm
as I
very grateful.
as we talk about a lot, like you like to throw things. I'm like, what is
Yep.
she throwing up now?
Oh yeah. I'm like, let's just try this. And I know I always feel like sometimes I walk in a teacup and they're like, what was that post about that? So don't worry, everybody. We're going to share all of Stephanie's Instagram, all the links, all the website links so you can find her. But I really appreciate you being on Front Row Friday with us and sharing about Teacup Entrepreneurs. And hopefully, the women watching this will check everything out and join us for a connection. I know I'll be there too. So I really appreciate it.
Well,
Yeah, we're
thank you.
starting
Thank
up
you. Have a wonderful
something. We're
day.
starting up
You too.
something. Oh, yeah, we're starting.